Limitless is not the strongest curse technique in Jujutsu Kaisen. Yes, you heard that right. As busted as Gojo's technique is, we believe there is still one technique that trumps it if used to its maximum potential. Hey everyone, AJ Anime here, and in today's video, we will be ranking the top 10 strongest curse techniques in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. So if you want to find out which technique we think is the strongest of them all, make sure to stick around until the end. Now let's get started.
The Joker.
Starting at number 10, we have Projection Sorcery. This inherited technique was used by the previous leader of the Zenin clan, Naobito Zenin, and passed down to his youngest son, Naoya Zenin. The Shibuya incident features some of the most unique powers that make it clear why most skilled Jujutsu sorcerers are not to be trifled with. And despite his time in the spotlight being brief, Naobito Zenin wowed audiences with a power that animation fans went gaga over. The act of freezing anything in place if it doesn't adhere to the 24 frame per second rule is a risky way to incapacitate enemies, but it works like a charm if the technique is a success. Projection Sorcery divides 1 second into 24 frames of animation for the user to trace a predetermined set of movements into those frames, which is executed in that single second. Moving using this technique makes the user seem as though they are teleporting, as when we saw Naoya appear in between Yuji and Chozo, and then disappeared instantly during his hunt for Megumi. And with this technique, Naobito was known as the second fastest sorcerer, only behind Gojo, who is the strongest sorcerer in the modern era. While this technique is active, anything that the user touches must also abide by the 24 FPS rule while moving, and failure to do so results in the subject being frozen in a frame for 1 second. A second may not sound like a long time, but in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, a second feels like minutes, and in that second, the subject is completely vulnerable to attacks. Hitting the target while it's in frame will break it out, heavily injuring them. Naobito used this ability to completely blitz the special grade cursed spirit Dagon during the Shibuya arc. We saw him trapping the cursed spirit in multiple frames and sending it flying every time. Projection Sorcery also has defensive capabilities, like when Naobito stopped Dagon's first water current attack by trapping it within several smaller frames, making this technique a true force to be reckoned with. Moving up to number 9, we have Yuki Tsukumo's cursed technique, Star Rage. Star Rage is an incredibly phenomenal cursed technique. Simply put, Star Rage allows Yuki to manifest an imaginary mass and assign it to either herself or her Shikigami, Garuda. This imaginary mass does not weigh her down, at least until a certain upper limit. Yuki can add tremendous weight to her strikes without having them slow her down, and this makes her punches incredibly dangerous. In fact, a single punch from her can exorcise even a special grade curse, which just goes to show the level that she operates on. Furthermore, even someone as strong as Kenjaku can struggle with her powerful punches, and, once again, this is a clear indication of the fact that she is way too powerful. At her best, Yuki can even create an entire black hole, which possesses the power to consume the entire world. Her strength is insurmountable, and not many can keep up with her. Truly, her incredible cursed technique is worthy of a special grade in JJK. Next at number 8 is Higuruma's technique, the Judge Man. And this technique is one of my personal favorites. Hiromi Higuruma's cursed technique effectively makes him a judge, jury, and executioner, with the role of a prosecutor granted to his Shikigami judge. Higuruma's technique is reliant on him creating a domain expansion that forces a non-aggression pact on both him and his opponent caught within it. Once it is cast, Higuruma begins prosecuting his opponent for any random crime or misdemeanor they've ever committed in their life. To even the playing field, Higuruma's domain summons a random piece of evidence that he is allowed to open after their testimony. The verdict is decided based on whether their testimony corroborates or refutes this evidence, and the judge passes a sentence that matches the severity of the crime. The base ruling is often confiscation, which removes Higuruma's opponent's ability to use cursed energy, effectively negating whatever cursed technique they have. In the event of a death penalty, Higuruma can summon an Executioner's Sword, which instantly kills anyone it cuts. Now at number 7, we have the king of curses himself, Sukuna, with his technique, Shrine. Now wait, you guys must be thinking Sukuna's curse technique is this low on the ranking? Just wait, guys. I didn't say Sukuna's curse technique is weak. I'm just saying there are curse techniques more powerful than his. And after all, his true curse technique hasn't been revealed yet. The two abilities of this technique that we've seen so far are Dismantle and Cleave. Dismantle is his default ranged slashing attack that he normally uses on inanimate objects, but it is also very effective against cursed spirits and other sorcerers. We saw the peak of this ability in his fight against Gojo, when after using Maharaga's second adaptation to Limitless as a model, Sukuna learned to enhance his Dismantle by extending the target area to the world itself, thus creating slashes that can cut the world. This is the ability he used to defeat Gojo to slash through his infinity, and was able to cut him in half. Now, his Cleave technique is a slashing technique that adjusts itself, depending on the target's toughness and cursed energy level in order to cut them in one move. But in order for Sukuna to activate this technique, he must make physical contact with the target. When Sukuna activated his domain expansion in Shibuya, it was these two techniques that shredded every building and human in it down to nothingness. He also has a variation of Cleave, where he can utilize the technique in the shape of a spider web and apply it to his surroundings, such as the ground, to collapse it in one fell swoop. In the Shibuya incident, he teased additional abilities locked away in a black box hidden within him, as we saw in his fight against Jogo when he created flames that were immensely more powerful than Jogo's, who specializes in destructive pyrokinetic abilities. Next, we have Mahito's Idol Transfiguration. I know everyone hates this guy so much, but we won't disagree that his curse technique was really powerful. Idol Transfiguration allows Mahito to manipulate the soul of anyone he comes into direct physical contact with, including himself. Unfortunately, Mahito's technique activation on regular humans often results in their death, since the soul's shape is only able to be tampered with so much before it is destroyed. But that only serves Mahito better since his victims turn into drone-like entities known as transfigured humans. Mahito can activate Idol Transfiguration on himself with no ill effects, allowing him to shapeshift by manipulating his own soul into whatever form is most advantageous for a situation, and allows him to heal any injuries his body suffered in battle. This makes damaging him practically useless unless his opponent can attack his soul directly, as we saw when Nobara used her resonance technique to damage his soul through sympathetic resonance. By transforming his body parts, Mahito is able to increase his speed and strength, and even manifest weaponry or imitate abilities like flight. He's a curse that best fits the description of a living weapon. At his peak, Mahito was able to transform into a form resembling Hanami after he used Black Flash to understand the true essence of his soul. In the end, he was defeated by Yuji and was absorbed by Kenjaku after his technique evolved to the stage that Kenjaku needed before starting the culling games. Now before we get to our top 5 countdown, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload.
続きを始めようか。無謀どもでは相手にならないで、直に叩くとしようか。
Moving up to the number 5 spot, we have Geto's curse technique, Cursed Spirit Manipulation. Suguru Geto's curse technique is the kind of ability that gains more strength the more danger it is exposed to. And given how much Jujutsu society overburdens its youngsters blessed with strength, it's no surprise his cursed spirit manipulation reached special grade status before he even graduated Jujutsu High. Geto's curse technique allows him to absorb cursed spirits that he has subdued or that have been weakened enough already. Once they are absorbed, Geto can summon them whenever he wishes and deploy them like Shikigami against his opponents. One of the best aspects of this technique is its versatility, because even if his opponent overcomes one of his cursed spirits, Geto can always summon more to confuse or surprise them. There doesn't appear to be an upper limit on the number of cursed spirits the technique can hold, but the quality of the cursed spirit's technique ceases to grow the moment they are absorbed, and the extracted technique can only be used once. As we said in the last ranking, this explains why Kenjaku waited to absorb Mahito, because he wanted him to further advance his technique during his fight with Yuji in order for him to finally start the culling games. At number 4, we have the technique possessed by Yuta Okotsu, known as Copy. Yuta believed his curse technique to be the cursed spirit reincarnation of his childhood friend Rika for a very long time. It wasn't until Rika's actual soul left the cursed spirit after his fight with Geto that Yuta truly began to understand Rika and how to fully utilize her abilities. After just a few months as a Jujutsu sorcerer, Yuta found that Rika was a near-endless battle of cursed energy that could operate as a storage for cursed tools and has the ability to refill Yuta's massive cursed energy reserves, which exceeds that of Gojo himself. But more importantly, Rika helps fulfill at least one condition of activating Yuta's cursed technique, Copy. Now, the exact requirements for his copy to work are still unknown, but after his encounter with Uro, it can be speculated that Rika has to consume either part of the user's body or even something containing the user's cursed energy, as Yuta was able to use Uro's sky manipulation technique after Rika consumed her arm. It was also believed that Rika consumed one of Sukuna's fingers, which allowed Yuta to use Shrine against Sukuna himself. What's more is that it seems as though Yuta can use other cursed techniques without suffering the drawbacks, like we saw when he used Toge's cursed speech against Geto and told his cursed spirits to die, which normally would have been disastrous for Toge if he said the same thing, but this could be because of Yuta's immense cursed energy reserves. Now let's talk about the third most powerful cursed technique, which is Megumi's cursed technique, the 10 Shadows. The 10 Shadows technique is among the most coveted techniques of the cruelly elite Zenin, and is slated to be on par with the Limitless technique of the Gojo clan. In its base state, it allows its wielder to summon up to 10 different Shikigami with different strengths and capabilities, but only after they've managed to defeat each individual Shikigami without any outside help. This includes the Divine Dogs, which can detect curses through great tracking abilities, Nue, which is a winged Shikigami that can fly and attack with electric-charged wings, Toad, which uses its tongue to support the user, Great Serpent, a giant snake used to immobilize its target, Max Elephant, an elephant that can spew water from its mouth and crush its target with its weight, Rabbit Escape, a massive swarm of rabbits used to distract the user's opponent, and Tiger Funeral, whose capabilities are unknown. After Sukuna takes over Megumi's body, we are introduced to Round Deer, which can heal through Reverse Curse Technique, and Piercing Ox, which can charge with immense strength the longer it charges. But the most powerful Shikigami, which has only been tamed by Sukuna, is Maharaga. This Shikigami has the ability to adapt to any and all phenomena and is equipped with the Sword of Extermination. In addition to using shadows as an intermediary for summoning Shikigami, a user of the 10 Shadows technique can also manipulate shadows themselves, allowing them to move physical mass in and out of shadows at will, meaning they can hide their body or the body of someone else within a shadow. Expert users of the 10 Shadows technique are capable of shaping and manifesting the abilities of its Shikigami through themselves. Since Sukuna managed to appropriate Max Elephant's torrential waves into a makeshift piercing blood, there's a possibility that he could manipulate Nue's electricity by himself. There's also the other extreme of this concept, where 10 Shadows users are able to merge several different Shikigami into one all-powerful entity known as Totality. We saw Sukuna using this technique to merge the powers of Great Serpent, Tiger Funeral, and Round Deer into an improved version of the Nue Shikigami, Agito. At the number 2 spot is none other than Limitless, the cursed technique of Satoru Gojo. Yeah, I'm sure you guys thought this would be number 1. But we believe there is still one cursed technique that is better than this one if used to its fullest potential. The power of Limitless allows its user to control every aspect of space. Gojo has managed to harness this power into 3 distinct abilities that earned him the status of Jujutsu Kaisen's strongest. His infinity prevents any unwanted objects from ever touching his actual skin by taking the finite amount of space between 2 objects and dividing it an infinite amount of times, thus slowing down an object to the point of appearing to stop completely. This invisible barrier can be used to keep harmful substances away from the user or to overpower someone by increasing the output. Technique Blue creates a center of attractive force with incredible destructive potential. It does this by infinitely converging space to a single point to create a void-like effect to produce the fields of attraction. It can be used in various ways, such as pulling two targets into each other, destroying a building, causing someone to implode, or achieving short-range instantaneous movement to make it seem as though the user is teleporting. Now, Technique Red does the opposite, creating a repelling force instead. This is achieved by flowing positive energy into the power of Limitless, creating a red orb that can unleash immense explosive force in an instant. This output of energy is double that of the output of blue. And lastly is Hollow Technique Purple, which is the fusion of red and blue. This is a secret technique known by only a few members of the Gojo clan and operates as the fusion of convergence and divergence that collides both infinites to generate an imaginary mass with the power to take the target out of reality, instantly erasing everything it hits. Gojo is only able to use Limitless to its full potential because he also possesses the Six Eyes. The Six Eyes is yet another technique passed down in the Gojo clan that gives its wielder unparalleled perception. In Jujutsu sorcery, where understanding the technique you're up against is half the battle, the Six Eyes is basically a cheat code in battle. It also allows its user to optimize the amount of cursed energy required to perform any technique, meaning it is almost impossible for a Six Eyes user to run out of cursed energy. It's these two techniques that put Gojo on his own tier as Jujutsu Kaisen's strongest. And finally, at the #1 spot is Takaba's cursed technique known as Comedian. I know you guys must be pretty shocked about this ranking and confused about Takaba's cursed technique and how it works, but let me explain. Fumihiko Takaba's cursed technique has limitless possibilities, as it allows the user to manipulate reality by thinking of something funny. This includes conjuring objects from nothing, healing themselves without the use of reverse curse technique, which, by the way, is absolutely busted. It can also nullify damage done to the user and simulates scenarios in reality. This technique is eternally active, which means there is no lag for technique activation, but its only restriction is that Takaba has to find a situation funny because if he loses confidence in the humor of something, the technique will deactivate and render him vulnerable to attacks. Takaba first showcased his technique against Lori Hazanoki when he healed the bleeding from his head in seconds after being attacked by Lori's explosive tooth. During the same fight, he also created a paper fan out of thin air to knock away Lori's explosive eyeball. And he even used it to cover himself in ankake sauce, causing Lori's punches to simply slide off of him. But the true display of his powers were during his battle against Kenjaku. He was able to use his cursed technique to nullify the damage done by Kenjaku's cursed spirits, leaving Kenjaku confused, as he was sure his attacks were connecting. However, Kenjaku quickly discovered the weakness to Takaba's technique and was able to land a blow on him after making him lose his confidence. Shortly after, Takaba was able to regain his confidence, and after reactivating his technique, he began manifesting imaginary scenarios and had Kenjaku participate in them, which included him exercising one of his special grade curses by running it over with a truck. He even manifested humans that were capable of speech and had the ability to move. It was thanks to Takaba's cursed technique that Yuta was able to surprise Kenjaku and deliver the final blow, ending the terror known as Kenjaku forever. So this is it for our top 10 strongest cursed techniques in Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm sure the ending shocked you guys, so let me know what you think in the comments and let me know what your favorite cursed technique is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your anime friends. See you guys in the next one.